Good morning. Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna. It is great to see you this Wednesday morning. Wednesday morning. Oh my gosh, this afternoon is the first offering of the multi-strand class, the elusive braided rug multi-strand. Do I have one in here? No, it's out there. But that beautiful rug that's made up of, I think in the case of what I'm doing tonight, it will become a 10 strand and not scary, right? It's just routine and learning. I'm super looking forward to that class. I know a lot of people are signed up for that, and it's offered on other dates, and it will be offered again in a couple of weeks. So for those of you who can't make it today or your plans have changed, this always happens. I will offer it again live in a couple of weeks for sure. It's coming up in person this coming Sunday as well, but that is sold out in Madison. Coming up on Cape Cod in February too. I forgot what date that is. If anybody's there and wants to take this braiding class with me. Sorry, I immediately got into business, didn't I, today? That is on February 18th. So, and that's on Cape Cod. That's in Dennis on Cape Cod. So that's coming up too in person. So good to see you. Good morning, everybody. I am running this morning. Carol, great to see you in sunny Utah. Coffee timers. I have to say I was really hoping to do an episode on the Garrett Bluenose book, right? The hard copy of the book. And I could not find it. And I have it, and it's somewhere, and I will find it, but I wasn't able to do that today. So we're doing a different thing today. And on Friday, I'm hoping to have found it by then. And that's what we'll be doing on Friday. So to be continued, fingers crossed, toes crossed, eyes crossed, everything that I find that book like immediately. Carol, great to see you. Doreen, great to see you in upstate New York. Everything is great. Everything is great. Busy and bright and great. All things bright and beautiful, right? April, great to see you from freezing cold Illinois. Oh no. It is going to get cold here too. We're going to hit on Friday, we start hitting freezing temps again and going down, down, down. And I'm waiting for that day that it does snow again and I can take the kids up by my mom and go sledding down. It's called Barn Door Hill. Isn't that a nice name for a hill? Barn Door Hill. So pretty. There's lots of barns up there. They're tobacco barns, but all the same. Very charming. We're waiting. One more burst of colds would be nice, wouldn't it? It might be more than that. Linda, great to see you. Penny, great to see you. It has been a while. I bet you've been busy. I hope everything's been okay though. I hope you've been good and just really busy. And taking a break from the computer maybe. Good to see you in Myrtle Beach. Linda H. in Massachusetts, great to see you. Dave, great to see you. Coffee is ready. Show me some rugs. That's exactly what we're doing today. There's some beautiful rugs. The theme of today is rugs that are currently, right? And what day is today? What day is today? Today is, oh my God, it's February 1st. It's February 1st. Okay, so I owe rent. I owe a bunch of things today. I didn't realize it was February. This is my birthday month. Ooh, at the end of the month, I guess, is it leap year this year? On the 28th, I will be 51. And I'm good with that. I got good with that. Wow, it's February. Okay, February 1st, 2023. Rugs that are currently being offered on online auctions, eBay, and various auction houses through LiveAuctioneers. So wait till you see what I found. I found some really interesting rugs. I would say to you as a precaution, make sure that you have another window open in case you go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. There is at least one today that has great value that is not well identified. So that is a huge cliffhanger. I know. Sharon, great to see you. I also want to say, Sharon, you reminded me. I am working on spam, private number. That you know that's spam. You know that is right. Although I got a call through a private number earlier, and it was actually Teddy's teacher. Don't worry, Mom, nothing is wrong. From school, and whenever they call you from school, they preface by saying everything is okay, and then it makes you think, oh my God, it's not okay, is it? But it was okay. She said everything is okay, and I ba boom, ba boom, ba boom, and she said your little cherub, who Teddy is 11 years old, managed to get a car stuck in his hair. Now, this is something that infants do, as we know, but he's autistic and he does zone out, and I could just see him, going like that, just not thinking, really stuck. And she said there's a lot of moms, because a lot of moms are in there that volunteer. A lot of moms are working on his hair right now, and he's not panicked. He's concerned because he loves his hair. and it's styled just the way that he wants it, which is not at all, and very long with crazy color in it, like the same color as me. So those kinds of calls come in too. I'm sure it's going to be fine. She hasn't called back. So either they've been working on it for the last hour and a half, or she forgot to call and say, Teddy has a new haircut, which is fine with me. He needed one and he wasn't going to let me do it. So what I was reminded of was I'm right at that point now with this multi-strand class ready to launch and ready with those kits and ready with all that stuff for now. I am going seriously into the current book project, which will be not the one that's coming out in June. And okay, to be continued, looping back to that because I need your help with that too. The one that I'm working on for Rug Hooking Magazine that is part of the Design Like series. So Design Like, and I'll probably choose 15 artists, some that you may know, some that you won't know. I like it that way, that maybe you will fall in love with, right? I'm working on that now, and Sharon's going to be doing one of the rugs for it still, I hope. And I am putting all that together now. This was my big hurdle for getting stuff done, like right now with all of the talks and dates and teaching dates. I'm right there where I'm jumping. I feel like I'm a little bit lame, but jumping over that last hurdle. I might trip on it, but that's the plan. So all of that is about to pop forward and come out, and I will be doing a show. I was thinking about it for this Friday, maybe next Friday, where I give you, because this is our very close group here, right? We are our tight group, and we're with each other all the time. I want to give you the first alert about the artists that I'm planning to use for the book. So the big ones you know, but there'll be other ones that you probably haven't heard of yet. I did a lot of research to find some great new, great old artists that have just not hit the radar. So I do want to do a show on that because I will be doing a series of designs myself based on these artists, but at this moment they are not well known enough to maybe run a Design Like class. So I'll be talking on a good long, probably a cocktail time episode about those artists and saying, this is what they did in terms of design. This is what they did with color. This is what they did. These are their tricks, right, that make their work special, unique, and recognizable at first glance. And if people want to chime in at that point and say, "Oh, I've never heard of that artist, but I want to do the rug for that chapter," that would be a good chance to do that. So that's coming up really soon because I'm in big trouble with that timeline. What I wanted to say about the first book that is now coming out on June 1st, if you are anywhere near me and you have a bookstore, right? The publishing house is asking me now, like, what bookstores might you want to go to do signing and meet people and have an event? And I mean, I know the ones that I go to, but I don't know the ones that you go to. So I am in Connecticut. If you are in New England, tri-state, somewhere drivable for me, and you have a bookstore near you that is super cute, you know, I can find the Barnes and Nobles on my own, but I'm thinking of ones that are atmospheric and charming and cozy, and that would be great. You know, sometimes you find a great bookstore. Those are the ones I'm looking for that are in places that I don't know, that I might want to put on the list for making appearances and signing at. So if you can help me with that, please send those emails to ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com, and Jane will probably pick those up and start working on that list. But that'll be fun opportunities to get together too, and possibly plan hook-ins and teaching dates at the same time. All that, Shannon, just looking at your name reminded me of all of that. And you, and how lovely you are. Mom, great to see you. Super cold in Granby. We're not cold yet. I had no jacket on. This is it. Boop. That was a bit indecent. But this is it for now until Friday when it gets really cold. Crystal, great to see you. Hello in Nova Scotia. I bet it's a frigid day there. Oh, my word. Is little Velma back at school? Everything's back to normal, I guess. Got a double layer of long johns on in my woolly indoor toque. Is that, oh, the hat, like the cap, the beanie type thing? Toque. That's it, isn't it? God, I haven't heard that word since my grandmother was alive. That was a word that she used. How funny is that? Oh, how funny is that? Thank you for that. I needed that back in my life for sure. Cindy, great to see you. Good morning. And my buddy Chrissy, good morning. Great to see you. Ted might end up with a mohawk, but that is cool. And since he's cool, he'll be able to pull off anything, right? I'm a bit worried about it, I have to say. I am a bit worried because he is precious about his hair. It's like, who is it? Samson, right? Samson that gets his hair cut off by Delilah. He's a bit Samson-y about his hair. April, good to see you. Karen, good to see you. My buddy Jane, good to see you. Just gave you a project. You're blow drying Max the parrot. Did he get soaking wet? Did he overturn a dish or something like that? That little sweetheart. Oh my gosh. Jane sent a video yesterday to me of Max the parrot because my son Teddy is obsessed with Max the parrot. And he was kind of walking around the house in between his lunch and his nap, just taking a walk through the house. And Teddy absolutely loved it. And he was talking away, talking away. God, birds are so much fun, aren't they? Dave, come to Toronto. I think I will. This ain't the rose. Okay, I think that'll be on the cards. My passport's good. Why not, right? No, I think I will. I think that makes a lot of sense. It's really not that far. It's really not that far, and I'll be going up through New York anyway. Um, Jane, can you write that one down, the one that Dave just gave? Because that is a good one. I should get that going. That makes a lot of sense. And June, right? June is going to be good. Thank you. That's a good one. All right, so let me think. Let's get started. Let me take one little sip and let's get started. Let's look at some of these rugs. Again, warning, there's some good rugs coming up that are not expensive. So you might want to be looking at these websites and logging on, if you see what I mean. So I went down the rabbit hole last night and bringing you to the slideshow. I found some rugs that I thought were interesting, that I thought we could talk about. Now, this rug is on LiveAuctioneers, right? That is a website. If you put in LiveAuctioneers and you put into the search field, you might need to log on like with your address. You do not need to log on with a credit card. LiveAuctioneers.com, Hooked Rugs. Thank you, Jane. This one is this is in Canada, right? So this is currently at 20 Canadian dollars. I think it has 10 more days. I think this is an extraordinary rug with shipping to anywhere but Canada. I think it could be painful. This is an extraordinary rug, right? This is a unique rug. I am dying for this rug. But the thing with these auctions is, number one, will they ship internationally? Because I'm not in Canada. But I will be in Canada this summer. Well, all right, I'm going to have to think. I love this rug. That's where I'm going with this. I love this unique, not commercial pattern rug. I love the two dogs. It's called Resting Dogs Hooked Rug. $20, 20 Canadian dollars, right? So that's like 18 American dollars right now, something like that. This is a beautiful story rug. I would love to have this rug for the show in April. I really would. I know, Crystal, right? It's crazy. I am going to keep my eye on this too. I just have to. It is so cute. It's a great story rug. That's somebody's house in the background. And those are somebody's dogs. And look at the scattering of flowers. Look at the striation, the color change in the dog, right? The little dark one is really well defined, really well marked. The larger one is so colorful. They're well loved. He's got his big collar on. Look at the kind of cornflower, broccoli trees in the background. It is such a charming oh, Marilyn, good to see you. It is such a charming composition. It's crazy. So at the moment, again, $20. I think there's 10 days left, maybe 9 days now, because I looked at this yesterday. Is that a bird up on the roof of the house? This is so cheerful. Everything about this is like warming, colorful, calming, right? The three chimneys with the puffs of smoke coming out of all three. Well-inhabited house, well-kept lawn, well-loved dogs. This is just a happy rug, and it looks to me like there's a little bird on the top left-hand side of the roof singing his song, like a little robin redbreast kind of thing. I think this is just an extraordinary rug. Let's look at a closer-up image of it as well. Now, again, the theme for this is the back of it. Don't you like the rounded corners on this? So this is just a wraparound, rounded corners, real colorful still. Let's look front to back at the color change. I think there's been some loss in the grass. Let's do it again. But other than that, I'm looking at the trees and they really do, maybe that's like mountain or a distant tree line. I was thinking those were individual trees. Now I'm thinking that the artist has, if you were in the storytelling, like designing your story rug class with me last month, we talked about using kind of tufts of little branches, little sprouting sprigs and buds as trees, right? Or using flowers as trees. You don't have to articulate a known tree type to suggest a tree. And in this case, in that distant line, it looks to me like they are suggesting trees with just one or two leaves. You can also do it with feathers by hooking something that looks like a feather. I think that might be the case. And I think over the top of that hill, looking at it with better color here, I think that's like distant greenery, maybe on like gentle rolling hills kind of a thing. But this is an extraordinary rug. I'm just looking at the color changes from front to back. Um, I like them both, and it's not that dramatic in terms of loss. But what a beautiful rug! I'm going to keep my eye on this too. If anybody gets it, I will not have bitter feelings, I promise you. But let me know. It is a nice rug. If I end up getting it somehow, which is probably not going to happen because the shipping is going to be crazy, I would put it into that April story rug thing. Although I don't know the story, it's nice to make up a story too. I mean, not make it up like to trick people, but say, I bought this at auction and this is how I imagine the story to be. Because there's a story there, isn't it? And it's somebody's house. That reminds me, I was so happy. Melanie, I don't know if you're on today. I was so happy to get an email from Melanie the other day saying I had noticed on eBay that a Ridimere pattern, because we've talked a lot about Ridimere on past shows, a Ridimere pattern called Milkweed appeared on eBay. And it was exciting. And I have so much of so much, right? I am like a hoarding hog at this point. But I bookmarked it because I was curious to see where it was going to go. And I was so hoping that someone in our group who'd been following, all this history and particularly the Ridimere episodes would have snagged that. And it was Melanie. And I was so happy that it was her and that she got it. And she said, I am so excited. I was so stressed at the end of this eBay auction. I was watching it. I had bid on it. I was so worried I was going to get outbid. I tuned into the end of the auction because those dirty snipers are out there. And sometimes I'm one of them, to be honest. I bid so it's known that I'm there. I do have integrity even when I'm sniping, but I know other people plan to snipe. So at the end of the auction, I make sure I'm there and I make sure I'm prepared to put one more bid in. That's just what I do. And I don't like operating that way. I wish it was more like a live auction where it was truly fair, but it's not. So anyway, I was so happy to know that she snagged that rug and she is so excited about it. And that's what I love about the show is we've got such a great community and we're keeping each other abreast of things that are happening, things that are for sale, like this rug in Canada. What a stunner. So here, let me come up to the next one. Now, hang on. Sorry about, oh, wait a minute. That's the second image. So this is another one from LiveAuctioneers. This is more traditional. This is currently this is in the US, right? The first one was in Canada. This one's in the US. Currently at $50. It starts at 50. I don't think there's bids on it yet. I'm not sure. This is again on the website called LiveAuctioneers. And this one you can find by typing in floral hooked rug. Now, this one at first glance, maybe I'm just taking a quick sip, doesn't seem super exciting. I feel it is exciting. I don't think it's super exciting in terms of value, but for me, this is an older rug. I would call this a 1930s, 1940s rug, could be 1950s. What I like about this rug is that there is a floral spray motif in the center. It is an odd number, and that in itself is odd. That makes me think this is not a commercial pattern. It might be, I might be wrong, but normally we see odd numbers of things because design-wise we are programmed to believe, oh, good morning, Beverly. We are programmed to believe that that is the right way. So seeing two is odd and always puts up a flag for me. What is amazing about this piece to me, a few things. The filigree nature of the floral, they're like two padulas, right? Really nondescript flowers in the center, maybe wiggly daisy type carnations, right? Who knows? The color is unusual. The squiggly nature of the leaves coming off of it is unusual. What's really unusual to me is the outline in white and the amount of color change from leaf to leaf. That is really unusual. That for me gives us a real sort of folky, even pen Dutch look, right? The motif on the four corners, right? That kind of star motif, super pen Dutch, two colored, even more pen Dutch, lamb's tongues going around the edges in a kind of antique mauve color, maybe with a little bit of sort of a vanilla cream color, right? And white. It is a very unusual color plan. It is really folky to me. I love this rug. Let's look at it closer up. I think we're looking at the back of it here. We are. This is a color changing background, isn't it? Now that I'm looking at the binding, I'm thinking this is more like a 1930s rug. I don't think it's a 19th century rug or anything like that. I don't think it's that old. Why don't I'm going to pull this open for us a bit more. Stay with me while your screen goes crazy. Let's see if we can see. The photograph in here is the quality of the photograph at auction. Seeing what we can see. I'm seeing a nice multi background, right? So that's a patterned wool in the background. There was plenty of it. Makes you wonder what it was. There are a few repairs here. It looks like the brown tape, unless it's a color thing, has faded. And since the back of it wouldn't be in the sun, right? Here comes Detective Dog. Since the back of it wouldn't be in the sun, it probably faded because the dye faded, which would make it of a certain age, which would make it definitely earlier 20th century. It's an unusual rug. Let's look at the front of it again and see if we can see any more clues. It's hard with rugs like this that are kind of universal. I don't want to say typical patterns, because this one to me is atypical. Gosh, I just love the background. The way it's hooked, it almost looks like sort of an animal skin, an animal print, doesn't it? It's really unusual. But the colors are what does it for me with this rug. That really sort of patterned background, the dark and the light. Sorry, I'm fooling around with my screen and it's doing crazy stuff and I'm panicking a little bit. Hang on. There we go. I just love the unusual colors and the introduction of red in an otherwise quite pastel palette is very, very different. I think this rug is really pretty. I think I'm going to watch this one as well. The more I look at it, the more I like. Let's look at the back of it one more time. Oh, that's the corner of the back. Yeah, this is really different. You can see how it's hooked as well. You can see how the maker went around the motifs and tried to kind of fill it in. I'm looking at the white and thinking there's a possibility that the white is done in yarn, like a thick yarn. It's hard to tell what kind of cut this is. The picture is not a super high quality, so I don't want to pop it out anymore, but it is a really lovely rug. Again, on LiveAuctioneers, and currently this is at 50. I think that is the starting bid. Now here's one that you might recognize, Canadian friends. This one is in the US. This is the Bluenose schooner, and I will pull this one open too. So this is Garrett Bluenose's best-selling pattern ever, followed closely by the Three Bears. And we talk about this a lot. We look at this a lot. This is a great older example of this rug. It is starting on auction at $250, but they do have an estimate on it of $500 to $700. And you know, let's look at it closely. Let's see what we can see. There's a few things about this rug that I'm really happy about. There's a condition problem a little bit, right? But for us, that's not really a thing. Let's look first at the condition problem in the border. Yeah, it looks like it's separating a little bit from the border. We have a picture of the back too. I think I have one in there. So I'm okay for that. I'm more worried right in the center of that sail. I'm not sure what kind of loss that is. It's hard to tell whether somebody was in there doing some mending or making some stitches. Also to the right, that would be stuff that I would be a little bit worried about. I wouldn't be overly worried about it, only because look at the amount of color change in this piece. Look at the amount of color blocking and color change. Look at how the sky goes from all creams and vanillas on the left and browns, which was maybe at one time a different color, who knows, to the bright blue, right? Whatever bright blue they had and that kind of stony gray and true white has been used. There's crazy color blocking happening in this that's giving it almost an abstract quality. Even the little border, did you see how I just pulled it over and there's some true black in there too? So lots of color change. I wouldn't be worried about in terms of repair if there are issues and things I wanted to repair. I wouldn't be overly worried about introducing another color because that's kind of the piece, isn't it? Everything is kind of blocked out. I love the bottom, the fishing schooner Bluenose. And it looks like it says, does that say Speed Queen? And I can't see what it says after that. Let me know if you can make that out because I'm seeing it very small. I feel like there's a possibility that that was typed. I don't know for sure, but that might have been the part that was printed by Garrett Bluenose and somebody hooked it, making it more like, you know, a wall piece that has an attribution on it. I mean, that's really, for me, interesting. I just love this whole piece. I'm going to bring it back down to its normal size so we can look at it as a whole again. And we're going to look at the back of it because I have a feeling this one has a more formal finishing. Just one more glance at the front. You know, the way the colors break down in this is just astonishing for me. There is a distinct lack of blue in this picture of a sailing boat on the seas, right? I find that so interesting. I love the way, like the sort of amoeba type clouds, I love the way the clouds are articulated. And that dark blue in the sky to me almost looks like a key, like an old-fashioned key. I think this is a really, really good example. I don't think it's going to get close to 700. I just don't, because I don't know, but you do see these coming up, I would say, fairly often on eBay, right? I would say at least 3 to 5 times a year on eBay, you do see a finished schooner. So I don't know, but this one really is so different. Is it different because we're spending time looking at it, or is it different because it's different? It's hard to tell, right? It's hard to tell. Maybe I'm a little bit too close to it. But I do like that brown border. You know, I'm not one for a brown border. I do like the substitutions of colors here. It strikes me as a very thrifty piece. Let's look at what the back is. I thought so. So this is the back. So beware if you are bidding on this piece. We cannot see the back. If you are going to make repairs, you're going to have to deal with this part of it. It doesn't look like a professional framing job. Those are like the little screw in eyelets, right? And somebody's twisted like picture wire. And this is a great solution. Absolutely nothing wrong with that, except that's the reason that it's falling off the front, right? Is because it's not, you're gonna need to attach it better. Please don't glue it. But this all needs to be thought out a little bit more, because it's just going to droop more and more, of course, as time goes on, and make that point in the middle really vulnerable because it's taking that extra weight. It's a beautiful piece, but beware if you are bidding on this piece that it has potential to have higher shipping than you think, because it's going to be heavy and it's going to be oversized as a shipping package. So be thinking about that because of the way that the back is framed. I love that piece. I love this piece. Very hard to call this one. So this is also on LiveAuctioneers. Some of the key words to locate this one are antique, folk, art, floral, hooked rug. This is currently at $25. It's very hard to say what age this is. I would just at first glance, knowing that this is a hit or miss rug, and for that reason, ultra thrifty. Oh no, is it defunct, Jane? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. To be continued. I love the funky flowers too, April. You know, this is such a great solution for hit or miss. You just take your empty canvas, burlap, whatever backing fabric you have, with your Sharpie, draw some daisy shapes on it and fill it in, and then fill in the negative areas. And you will end up with this, and it will be fantastic. What a great way to use up your snoodle noodles, right? All your worms. What a great way. So many colors in here. It has a really 1930s, 1940s palette for me. More 1930s, because it has those earth tones, right? That's more like the arts and crafts movement, but it also has like the bright pastel colors and the cheerful colors moving toward the 1940s. So it is hard to put an age on this for me. It could also be 1950s, same deal. If this is indeed a thrift rug, then people were actually, whoever made it was using what they had. And then that has nothing to do with, you know, necessarily what colors were in fashion. It has to do with what clothes they bought 10 years ago and now have holes in them. So this is just an extraordinary piece starting at $25. And remember, there's always a buyer's premium with these auctions, and it is always extraordinary how much that is. That for me is like the rip off, cross my palm with silver nonsense charge, but it cannot be avoided. So that is always there, plus a shipping charge, unless you are local. So be careful and be aware of that. Let's look at what the back of this rug looks like. Really, okay, one more of the front. Okay, so there's a little fade, not much. There is a little fade, so I'm convinced that this is an older rug. I'll pull it open for us a little bit too. I'm going to pull it open at this corner. This looks the most promising. It definitely looks like it was used on the floor based on the tape that's binding it. Really beautiful bright colors. Did you notice in this bottom right-hand corner how many more sorts of blues and greens there are than in the rest of the rug? The rest of the rug are these rosy, warm oranges and pinks predominantly, and yellows. But then you get to this corner and they've picked up a different garment here. And we're looking more at grassy greens and turquoise and sea blue and navy, and it's maroon. Very exciting. It's a really exciting rug. So another one, these are all currently on, right? So that in itself is exciting. Let's look at this one. Now, I'm going to just take a quick sip of my Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee here. Shouldn't they be paying me at this point? I mean, I'm drinking some kind of a Dunkin' Donuts product every day, or stuffing my mouth with munchkins. I feel like they should be paying me at this point. God, that's good. The coconut caramel, the Girl Scout one. Okay, this is going to be, I have mixed feelings on this. This is going to be easy to find because there's a typo. So this one you can locate in LiveAuctioneers by the words antique and then American is this, because I just want to point out, I'm not dissing and I'm not trash talking, but if you are able to put up an auction on these LiveAuctioneer sites, these are umbrella sites. This is not like Sotheby's, right, or Christie's. If you can gather whatever amount of things together, create an online auction, and find hooked rugs this way, they have no idea what they have, what they're talking about, what the label should be, or what the value should be. They have no idea what they're looking at in terms of condition and what they should be relaying to us as potential buyers in terms of condition. These are all worrying things about online auctions. $170 is the starting price for this one. Now, I'm just going to say it in this case, this is not a $170 rug. This is a lovely, unusual, hit or miss rug. Beautiful kind of amethyst center, unusual colors, right? I love the purples. I love Color Me in. Oh, is it sadly gone? Dave, if there's another one up there, I would still love to come to Toronto, and I bet there is, but that is a bit of a heartbreak, isn't it? Craft shops might be good too. That might work too. The thing is, if I'm promoting the book, it's got to be a shop that wants to stock some copies of the book and hopefully sell them that day. But I bet it's going to work. That is sad though. That sounded like a funny store. So this is a very nice hit or miss with a lot of directional hooking. I love this hit or miss because with each color of hit or miss, great directional hooking, but you can see how far each strip went. So you look, your eye focuses on a little red strip and it's like, that's how long this strip was, right? So that tells you so much about technique and about the making of this rug. So this is a good information rug to look at. I love how the center thing looks to me like a geode because of the color change. I love the yellow and the purple together. Very, very votes for women, right? Very unusual. And it's, for me, it doesn't necessarily go together, this really unusual purple and yellow center with the everything but the kitchen sink kind of coloring of the hit or miss background. 170 is way too much for this rug, in my opinion. If it speaks to you, it speaks to you. This is a sort of close-up of the back of the rug. So this is, I'm trying to date the rug as well because we know that in the early to middle 20th century, the way of finishing a rug was to fold your burlap edges under and hook through right to the border. And we know that we can date it that way because of the way that this rug is finished. So I would put this in the 1940s, 1950s. Could be 1940s, could even be 1930s, but I don't think so, right? I think at this point, people are being taught by teachers, right? Because it's not intuitive. And this is like Pearl McGowan School of Teaching, and some of the other teachers at that time were saying, fold it over, hook through both layers so you don't have anything to resolve. No binding tape, no sewing with a needle to hide your edges. You're hooking right through it. It's a hooked rug sandwich, done and dusted, right? So for me, that dates this piece a little bit. I think 170 is astronomical. If I saw this at an antique store, I would expect this rug to be something like between 65 and 85 tops. What I will say about this photo is it gets me all emotional because I am a great lover of linoleum. Now, I know some of you out there must feel the same way. There must be linoleum in many of our pasts, right? These beautiful, colorful tiles. For me, it was my grandmother's house, kitchen floor, right? Mom checkerboard, black and white checkerboard. I love linoleum. And that is this awful to say? I think that's my favorite part of the photo is looking at, that's awful. I'm going to move away from this. I'm not a jerk. It's just, I think this is way, way overpriced. It's very, very ambitious. It is a lovely rug. And of course, when you find a lovely rug that speaks to you, you don't have to justify why it speaks to you. You can say, I have the 170 and I'm going to spend it on this. Great. It's a beautiful thing. It's a handmade thing. In terms of hours, obviously it's worth money. It's worth a lot of money. But in terms of what rugs are selling for, it's way over what we ever see for hit or miss rugs. Unlike this rug. So on your mark, get set, go. This is on LiveAuctioneers, and the listing is called 2 Hooked Rugs of Seated Dogs. It has one bid at, and I'm sorry to the person with the one bid of $150. I know that you recognize this pattern. I'm going to give you a minute. It is an Edward Sands Frost rug. So does that make it worth 150? No, it makes it worth, well, the ones we've been seeing lately at antique stores are more like 3,000 to 4,000. This pattern is not as valuable, right? This pattern is less valuable. I still think this rug is worth, I would say 12 to 1,500. I would say 12 to, I would consider it on the low end if I saw this at an antique store from 12 to 1,500. It's at 150 right now with another example that is not a rug. So let's sit with this for a minute. This, I think, is another one that has a, I think it's mounted. I think, I'm not sure. Or you're going to have to check the listing, or it doesn't show it. One or the other, but for whatever reason, I think it doesn't show it. I think that's it. This person obviously does not know Edward Sands Frost or hooked rugs because this is certainly a Sands Frost pattern. Now, I want to show you in 2007, the same rug sold. Oh, sorry, 2017 for 550. Now, that is a crime. That is very low. And that it also was not marked correctly, right? It was not marked as an Edward Sands Frost rug. So this one sold way under. We are definitely seeing Edward Sands Frost rugs selling for much, much, much higher. This is a good investment, or if it's something you would like, it's there. It might go up like crazy, particularly after me shooting my mouth off, but I want you to be aware that it's there. So again, it's not this rug. That's the one that sold in 2017. That was mismarked, but it's this rug. And for me, I like the richness of the colors in the other one, but I really like this one. It looks like there is some damage. I think it's still worth several hundred more. It looks like there's a few holes. These are things you could patch. This is a worthy rug. I like the coloring of the face. This is exactly what we want to see in older rugs. A known pattern, a famous pattern at that, lots of color change, vivid color change. And yes, there are some holes, but you can get in touch with my friend Judy Taylor if you don't want to make the repairs. I see 4 holes. And I don't think you can see my cursor when I'm in this program, but your eye will find some holes, right? So it's not in great shape, but you can, without repairing this, you could even put a piece of burlap or linen behind it, or even a colored one, right? You know how colored fabric, forget linen, you could put olive colored fabric behind it or anything and have it mounted, right? Have it mounted by a framer who knows what they're doing, that is going to distribute the weight well so that this is not vulnerable. But this is a great investment and it's a lot of fun. So 2 hooked rugs of seated dogs on LiveAuctioneers. This is the other one. And guess what? This is not a rug. This is a needlepoint. So it's cute, but this is the other item in that lot of 2 hooked rugs of seated dogs. They're both laying dogs in my mind, but this is absolutely a needlepoint. I will bring you into it close up. It's not that there's anything wrong with it, but it's definitely not hooked, right? That is clearly a needlepoint. And we're talking about apples and oranges. Stuff like that really irritates me because, I mean, you put these 2 things together, besides being made of fabric, they bear no other like commonalities. It's just, it's irritating. But anyway, there you go. That is up for you. I don't hear many comments. I wonder if there's furious fingers looking up this item. I really, really like this. And again, the amount of color that's in it, the amount of red that's in it is so exciting. That bright yellow on the dog looks like a plaid or non-solid fabric at the very least. I like the oval scroll going around, the little bits of sort of olive drab khaki colors, right? And then the bright turquoise. It's a very unusual colored rug. Lots of white too. We don't often see white in rugs from this period. This is obviously a thrifty rug because they are running out of colors left and right. And we don't often see white. Not many people had white. Certainly the middle and lower classes weren't wearing a lot of white because it required a lot of washing, right? And their jobs weren't such that you would be remaining pristine. And you don't get a lot of people in the 19th century, early 20th century making rugs for fun, right? You get people who need a rug making rugs. They can't afford to buy a rug making rugs. April says, I love the red. I really like the coloring on this one much better than the other. Yeah, let's look at the other again. The other is much more austere, and it's a much darker palette, of course. This one, the dog is handled differently and better, I think. That's subjective, of course, but I like the checkered carpet in this one. This one is super fine and I like it, but this one is not super fine. This is way more thrifty and I love it. So really different. But those are there for you if you're interested. Another very big name in rug hooking, still at LiveAuctioneers. This is a McAdoo rug. And this is up, you can find it. Oh, I forgot how much this was at. I'm sorry, I didn't record that. LiveAuctioneers, type in McAdoo Race Week. The pattern is called Race Week, and it's from 1986. So it's not an exorbitant amount right now, but of course it will go up with the bidding because McAdoos are very collectible rugs. So great subject. I have to say I have not seen this exact rug around at all. So in my mind, this isn't one of like the top 25 of the McAdoo rugs, but it's a great subject. And it's in the handling of the water, the handling of the sky, the shape, the action, the excitement of all of those boats in the wind. It's very evocative, isn't it? It's very summery. It's very exciting. Currently at 170. Crystal, that's the McAdoo rug here? That is quite a bit. I think that went up from last night. That is quite a bit. But McAdoo rugs are worth it. I would expect this based on other McAdoo rugs and this not being ones that we've seen all the time. I would expect this to go between maybe 800 and 1,000. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's a McAdoo and they are becoming more and more collectible as people realize that these rugs are different than other, I don't want to say commercially made rugs. They are commercial patterns, but we do know who the maker is on them because of the initials on them. And we do know it's a fairly small enterprise. And we do know all of the people over the years, it's still a recent enterprise, who have hooked them. And all of that can be figured out. And you know, Bob's your uncle. There's your heirloom, right? Race week. So very cool. Marilyn says, I love the old, I loved old flower linoleum. Ah, I love all linoleum. It's a crime how expensive linoleum is at this moment. But next time I can afford it for a cool studio space, maybe when I level up, it's going to be all about linoleum. I never look at rugs like this. This is not my style. Some reason this rug just keeps calling to me. It's called Dogwood. I'm still at LiveAuctioneers. The keywords to find this rug are Dogwood, New England, hooked rug. Now, this is currently at 50, I think, and it's estimated between 800 and 875. That is super ambitious. I don't know what it is, but I love dogwood, right? I just love the way it looks, the flower. I love the coloring in it. This is super duper promo gown, and that's not my favorite style. As you know, that's just my personal opinion. Lisa, good to see you. But I love this. I don't know what it is. It's kind of that sagey, wedgewoody background with these big fat dogwood flowers that I always love. And the exciting handling of the leaves. Really different, isn't it? Really unexpected color. This looks like a super fine cut. Let's look at some closer up pictures. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong one. I only have the one picture of this. Ah, I remember. There was about 10 pictures of this, and they were all from this distance, just from different angles. And I did this last night. I remember being frustrated. When you show that many pictures, please show me either the back of it or a close-up of it, because just from standing up at different heights, this is as far as we get. Let me see if I can enlarge it. $50 is a bargain for this, but if they're expecting to get 800, I fear they're going to be disappointed because it's not an old rug. Obviously, this is. I don't know if this is a promo gown pattern. It might be. The fact that it's very asymmetrical, I don't really associate that with her designing, but I would put this at the 1950s, 40s, 50s comfortably. It could even be a little bit later. I just love the handling of the leaves. You know, there's a lot of detail in the flowers, but it's like they did the flowers pretty conservatively and literally. And then it's kind of like you get to the leaves and it's like blast it out time. Like I'm going to put in my greens, my sage, my blue, my denim, my navy, my rose, all of my rose. I mean, it's just crazy how much color is in the leaves. And for me, that's really exciting. And I guess I do like the background color a lot. But I guess if you have this large floral motif that's repeat, very strong pattern, and you're doing it in white, I guess you can afford to go like nutso when you get to the leaves and just blast in all these colors. It's very unusual, isn't it? Whether you like it or not, it is one of the more conservative rugs that I'm showing here, but it's very unusual. And I'm sure it's a commercial pattern. So this one is not. You can find this one on LiveAuctioneers under Rare, Large, Maine, the state of Maine, hooked rug. Now, it's starting at 500. It's estimated, I can't remember it, it's cut off for me. It's estimated much more. I don't know why on this program I cannot see. Let me see if, no, I'm not going to press buttons. I'm too scared. The estimate was very high. And in 500 already is quite high because you have to pay the premium on top of it and the shipping if you're not there. But this is on LiveAuctioneers. You will find it under Rare Large Maine Hooked Rug. It is an extraordinary rug. I want to bring you in closer to see some of the detail here. And I think I have that in well, first of all, this is somebody's neighborhood, right? These are like two neighboring houses. It looks like it says our homes in, so maybe two people worked on this because this is plural, our homes in Roxbury, Maine. Now, if anybody know, thank you, Penny, 1,000 to 1,500. That's great. And you know, it is worth that. It is worth that. It's just, we know that the market for hooked rugs is very soft right now. And until it gets built up again, the pendulum will swing, right? It is certainly worth 1,500. We just don't see a lot of rugs going for that. I do like the story here because it looks like two people worked on this. Our homes in Roxbury, Maine. I bet if you have been to Roxbury, Maine, or you're living in Roxbury, Maine, I bet these houses are still there, probably on Main Street, right? It is a lovely, lovely, this is how it's backed. So again, if you're bidding on this, be careful. This is professionally backed. This is going to be a very safe rug to have, to hang, to keep as an heirloom. But that kind of finishing is going to make it more heavy and unwieldy, and it's going to cost a lot more to ship. So be sure that you're prepared for that as well. I love the marble cake background to this. I love that faded tree line. I wish that we could see the back of the rug. I love the faded tree line. I love the kind of folky picture frame, a little bit of gold on the inside, right? All these layers going out. I love that curvy sweep from the yellow house over. I love both houses, but I really love the yellow house. See the blue light in the yellow house? There's some mystery in there. That's a Nancy Drew house, right? Is that the house in the neighborhood that you're afraid to trick or treat at? It looks like a little bit like, should I go inside that L and knock on that door or not? It's such a lovely, lovely rug. 500 is a big starting price. You know, if you start with something more like 350, you might build up to, I would expect this rug to go for something between like, I don't know, 850 and 1,000, that kind of thing. But higher than that, a little bit ambitious. But for collectors, maybe sometimes having a rug that's personalized this way helps because there's provenance and you can attribute it to this town and you could go on a real hunt and look for these houses. But sometimes it hurts it because it's too specific. And if people have no relationship to Roxbury, Maine, and they've never seen these houses before and don't plan to, and they don't collect house rugs, those could hurt it. So it could go either way easily. This is a rug on eBay. So I'm switching from LiveAuctioneers to eBay. This is an unfinished rug. So you can find this. The seller is Great Stuff 0 _ the number 4. And you can find it large, gorgeous, unfinished harvest hooked rug. Those are the key words. So this is almost done and it is really lovely. Let me bring you in closer to it. This is certainly a commercial pattern. We can see it printed on the back. I want to show you some other things about this rug. Two beautiful cornucopias, Pearl McGowan era, really beautiful, very colorful, right? For a harvest themed rug, these are like spring colors. So unusual in that way, exciting, interesting. And one of the things I like about it is if you are going to finish this rug, you will be working on burlap. You might have to make repairs if things go south, right? I can see the person standing on the rug with a sneaker right now. It is a lovely, lovely, lovely rug. So you're seeing the front and the back, and this is also the era of, this is, for me, this would be like maybe a 60s, 70s era rug, maybe 50s. But I'm seeing the tape on the rug, which is kind of the next evolution, where they pre-sewed the cotton tape, like the binding to it. And let me show you a close-up of that, because this gives us a moment in time too. They would pre-sew it with the grain, right onto the backing. And you would hook right up to that point and then flip it under and hand sew it. That's really smart. And with this, they're not fooling around with twisting the corner or doing an envelope corner. They're just putting the two pieces of tape at right angles. So in this case, you would flip the top to bottom vertical tape first because it's on top, right? You would finish the piece, tip that, what did I just say? Tuck that under first and then the bottom one second, just because that's the order that it's sewn in. But interesting rug. And it is in Charlton, Massachusetts, which is right near Brimfield and Sturbridge. And there is the Sturbridge Antique Center is actually in Charlton. And they always have hooked rug stuff. And I'm wondering if this is actually at the antique store. Because it's in Charlton, Massachusetts, Charleton. They always have hooked rug stuff there. Yeah, and I'm wondering if it's actually at the shop. And who cares, right? Because if you buy it, they're going to ship it to you anyway. But what a beautiful piece to finish, isn't it? Now, let's keep going. Am I going to make it through here? I might not make it through. No, we might have another episode. I'll do this one. I'll do this one last, and then we'll log off, and I'll save some of this stuff for Monday. This is another one that came up on eBay. I didn't crop the picture. This is the way the picture looks. Now, I am so in love with this pair of rugs for so many reasons. Now, the seller is 111, the numbers, 111 Laryl, L-A-R-Y-L, like Daryl, like Bob Newhart, but with an L. 111 Laryl, right? So this is basically the same rug twice, reversed. Not exactly because we've got rabbits up top, but as far as the main motif, the jumping stag, really cool idea, isn't it? Because now we've got a natural pair. It has a paint by number quality, I think, because the main motif is outlined. That's probably the one thing that I'm not in love with here. The pair is $149 American dollars and $20 to ship. That's US. So, and the key words for this are 2 vintage deer, wildlife, leaves, hooked rugs. Let's look at these closer up. I think these are really, really charming. So this is the white one. You can see there's some a little bit of dirtiness here. This is something maybe you could spot clean. Maybe it doesn't bother you that much. These are obviously used or at least spilled upon. The white one has this one has the added motifs of the 2 brown bunnies and the 2 white bunnies. I think that is so sweet. In a field of, on the bottom, kind of makeshift little hills, right? And then just covered with leaves, just motif dump in the background, scatter pattern, leaves. And then like an afterthought, oh, let me put in a few rabbits into the corners. So cute, so smart, very bright, really vivid colors, really lovely piece. And then the companion piece is this dark piece, done differently. We don't have animals in this, and these are the photos, right? I didn't crop the photos. These are the photos. I'll go back to the original one, and I'll probably do one more slide after this. But really pretty, nice use of flowers in the background, nice, nice, thoughtful sort of interpretation of 2 different deer, 2 different versions. A little bit of white on the throat and on the tail on this one, and then these nice patterned wools making up the ground, which is broken into hit or miss kind of blobs, little hills. I think these pieces are super, super, oops, wait a minute, super charming. Off you go. And as a pair, I think they match, right? Because it's the same colors of materials that they're using. It's really, really sweet. Let's do one more. And again, all of these at the second part of the show here are from eBay. So this one's on eBay as well. So let's talk about this one too, and we'll end with this one. This is on eBay. The seller is Jackson, so Jackson Miley, Miley. Keywords for this: primitive American folk art, farmhouse, hooked rug, singular. This one is up for $269.15 to ship. This is certainly a commercial pattern. I can't put my finger on it. I'm almost 1,000% sure this is a Canadian pattern because I feel like I've seen it recently. I might be wrong. It could be. When I think about the Columbia catalog that Robin turned up the other day, this was really in keeping with their sort of Art Deco period, 1920s, 1930s. Could be that. This is really unusual in that the flowers aren't what really are killing me. It's the leaves, these kind of shapy, brutalist looking leaves with the multi kind of crewel work feel, right? The multi feel on the inside of the leaves, right outside the veining. Really different. That's top, bottom, and side to side, right? And then the other leaves look like they're done one half in pistachio, the other with a patterned wool. Exciting. I like the light outlining in the center, right? That's partitioning off. That's that hit or miss center. I like those small white kind of paisley dots in the center, unusual. I like the balance of the colors in the flowers. There's lights, there's cools, there's warms, there's darks. It's an unusual shape. What I really like about the rug is the center. This rug is, I think I said 269 plus 15. It seems a little on the high side to me, to be honest. But the thing about this rug that really gets me is the center part of it. Because, let me see if I have one more photo of it head on. No, I don't. I think this is the closest we get. Let me come back to this one, see if we can, no, it's still at an angle. I really want to look head on at that center. I'm going to pull it open for us again here. There is, oops, 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 oops. Hang on. Hang on, there's monkey business. All right, let me pull this back open. All right, that's good enough. There is a pattern here. And so for me, this becomes a mystery. How are they you see this pink to maroon to like white, subtle diagonal patterning that's happening in what looks like a hit or miss center. How do they do that? I don't know the answer. I think they probably had a not solid patterned wool that they were hooking in regular lines, and it happened to work out this way. That's the only thing that I can think. I don't know how you could plan this without being a weaver, like literally. I'm so curious about the center. It's such a great mystery to me to see this kind of effect with a hit or miss center. I mean, it's obviously patterned wool. I don't know the answer to this. It could be luck, right? The stars aligned. It's the perfect storm of rug hooking here. I don't know, but it is so odd to see such a diagonal pull with that center fabric, because it seems like they were really going for the, did I have one more of this? The hit or miss feel. And they had enough of that fabric to use it on the edge of the rug, right? This is kind of a squared out oval. It's a soft rectangle. This is definitely the same fabric on the border. So this to me is just a really unusual rug. It's full of mystery. Is it worth $269? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if I saw that at an antique store, but I know that this is a commercial pattern. So for me in this market, it's on the high side. For you, if you're in love with it and you feel that mystery pulling you, absolutely go for it. You know how many hours of work this is. How could we even guess? It's so different from person to person, but we know that this is worth the money. It's worth the money in the wool probably, but it is a beautiful, beautiful piece if it speaks to you. If I saw this at an antique store, I'd expect to see it at like, I would say 95 to 150. I know that's a broad window, but it is better than the average bear, right? For a commercial pattern rug, and I'm not a fan of rugs that are have soft corners or oval corners or half moon or any of that, the kind of demi shapes or any of that. For myself, because I feel they're limiting, they're less effective as wall art. If you're buying it as a piece of art and putting it on the wall, you're less likely to want a half moon or an oval. And I think that kind of kills the value for collectors who are collecting as wall art. They want something that looks like a picture in a rectangle format to be up on the wall in general. But it is a beautifully done rug. It is full of mystery. It is really lovely. And you know, the seller might get $270 for it plus 15 shipping. It's not outrageous, but it definitely is on the high side for a commercial rug. It doesn't make it any less lovely, does it? So why don't we stop there, because we're at the hour and I need to get ready to do a bunch of things, including teach at 4, the elusive multi-strand class, the braided rug class at 4. So I might see you there. I might see you later in the week on Sunday night for that class. Just a reminder, if you are taking that class, the class today is 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will run it again. Oh, that's right, Mom. Don't forget to do thumbs up. Please subscribe. when I look at the numbers for this channel, for the amount of work and craziness that goes into these episodes, 65% of the people watching, and I'm not saying it's you, are not subscribed. So it'd be good to have the subscribers because it makes the channel more visible, right? I am always competing with brands that are much larger and older than I am, and I do not buy subscribers or buy any of that stuff. I am doing everything grassroots, ground up. So any support that you can give, even by liking, subscribing, helps these videos appear for other people so they can come into our little fold and join in the fun with us every time we run a show. So I will be back with you Friday. I will see how it goes. I'm still thinking about what the content for that show will be and what makes sense, but I will definitely be there, and I will look forward to you being there, I hope, on Friday night for cocktail night, which will be at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, if you need me, you have thoughts about bookstores, you want to hook a rug for the book that I'm working on now, you want to just be in touch with me, please write at ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com. If you don't already belong to our Facebook page, it is Rug Hooking and symbol Punch Needle Club, and we would love to